The link between price and access is important when we look at the internet cost in the United States compared to other countries. The Cost of Connectivity Report for Open Technology Institutes for 2020 found that the average advertised monthly price of internet access in the U.S. is $68.38, more than the average cost of internet access in North America, Europe, and Asia. We suspect that there are quite a few people who pay more than $35 a month for their broadband internet access. Most internet service provider plans start at $40 per month, and if you don't, you end up paying taxes, fees, and equipment costs that can add up to $15 or more. Fiber optic cables are expensive, and fiber optic ISP have to pay a high price to recoup the cost of installing new lines. Provide services is one of the cheapest internet options. In fact, according to the Federal Communications Commission, about half of American households have only two choices for internet service providers: DSL or basic broadband. The ILSR reports that by 2021, at least 83.3 million Americans will have access to broadband from a single provider. Internet access in America remains slow, especially when it comes to upload speeds and features needed for cloud computing and the creation of user-generated content. Internet access is expensive compared to the rest of the developed world, and a third of Americans have or do not have a subscription. Cable companies that dominate wired internet access are under real competitive pressure and price pressure. Telecom companies like Verizon and AT&T are pulling out. Wireless networks will never be a complete substitute for wireless capacity, and we have no plans to upgrade to fiber nationwide. The coronavirus pandemic has shown how dependent we are on the internet to survive, and what it means to have a reliable connection to access without any. Internet access is improving in the United States, but lagging behind most other people in the world, and some are paying more than anywhere else in the world. Many American citizens have noticed that broadband internet access in the U.S., even on the high coasts, falls far short of the high prices that come with it compared with countries such as South Korea and much of Europe. Bandwidth is in demand not only for PC, but also for our mobile devices, Internet of Things products, smart TV, game consoles, and streaming services. As work from home becomes more and more entrenched in the world of work, a reliable internet connection is a must. Many of us spend a considerable amount of our time at home, and several people in the same house are constantly fighting for capacity, leading to a variety of connectivity problems. As work and homework are added, we increasingly rely on a stable internet connection for our daily lives. As access to resources has shifted, many people view broadband as a necessity comparable to electricity, and the extent to which this justifies significant government intervention in the internet services market is the subject of debate between Democrats and Republicans. The development of technologies has shifted the targets for internet speed and best practices for delivering the service. The federal government funded the rollout of broadband through the 1996 Telecommunications Act, which changed the definition of universal service. The principle that all Americans should have access to communication services beyond phones, including high-speed internet. The FCC created the Universal Service Fund, which consists of the Connect America Fund for rural areas, the Lifeline Fund for low-income consumers to buy internet services, and two funds for schools and rural health care. Their profit motive is not in line with our social needs to ensure that everyone has access. If you don't have access to government benefits, you can't start a business. More than a third of Americans, especially in many rural areas, will not have access to a high-speed connection because of the price of access, whether it is fast or not. Reliable information and access are central to any policy in our care, including education, health, and national security. There's not a magic trick to lower your internet bill. There are a number of things you can try to save money in the long run. Identifying your internet needs and finding a plan that best suits you is the best way to avoid paying too much for the internet. It is depressing and embarrassing that an agency intended to serve as an objective basis for federal regulators to develop policies to promote nationwide internet access has turned into partisan squabbles as staff and commissioners decide to figure out what they want to see. The politicization of the supposed goal of a report to Congress on internet adoption in America is reflected in the accompanying statements by the 5 FCC commissioners. While the commissioners argue between themselves about how many millions of Americans do not have internet access and who is responsible, the agency's staff have avoided going into areas that they should have, such as the impact of price increases on demand for faster internet speeds, the impact of data caps, and the level of latency on the network, because that would only raise more problems.